At North Main Financial Group, we move to where you need us. Investment management, insurance planning, and estate strategies. No two people are the same, so we customize our planning based upon your needs. Reach out to us at northmainfinancial.com. That's northmainfinancial.com.
The following is a paid program and does not necessarily reflect the views of WSIC.
Happy Friday, Lake Norman. Thank you for joining us for the next, Dan, 45 minutes or so?
Something like that, yep.
We have a lot to catch up on.
It's been a week.
It's been a crazy week. So as so often happens in this line of work, you come in here or you start the week thinking.
Yeah, you're preparing for one
thing
and
and something like yesterday happens, and here we are.
Throws the whole show off. But
yeah. So of course, Mooresville, because of where the leasing agency or whatever was, and also, Greg Biffle and Statesville Airport are in national news, obviously, for a gut-wrenching reason. And you followed it on the Firewire, Dan, really closely yesterday. So
it took up my entire day, pretty much, yeah.
I'm sure. I was glued to anything, that would give updates. We were talking earlier, and it's like, having grown up here, you always just hold your breath a little bit whenever something happens. And it's not just me. I mean, you said you've got buddies that have airplanes there.
Yep.
You hold your breath a little bit, just knowing, I don't want to say there are so few people that use that airport, but it's a regional airport,
yeah,
right?
It's a busy little airport.
It is very
really
busy.
They're building the new the terminal there because of how fast it's growing.
Right. And a lot of race companies use it, right?
Yep.
So I figure we'll turn to you since, you had kind of the more front row seat, if for lack of a better term, I guess, to tell us what's going on, what happened.
Well, I can only tell you, the stuff that I do know that's been confirmed now. Approximately 10:15 yesterday, Unit 49 from the Statesville Fire Department called in over the radio, who, if I'm understanding it correctly, off-duty officers use their unit number. So this officer of Statesville Fire Department called in over the radio reporting a Lear jet had crashed, and it was totally engulfed in flames. Units started calling en route before even dispatch, because obviously, they're all listening and heard it. And Statesville Chief 1 got on scene, and it was a abysmal report, of the plane completely engulfed in flames. And if there was anybody on the plane that did not get out, there would be no survivors. And he was right. Initial reports showed or said that 5 to 6 people were on board, and then it was later said to be 6. But then later in the afternoon, we were able to confirm through our sources that there were 7. So we reported that before that really got out there. Another media outlet and I had the same information from our sources of who was on the plane pretty early on. I chose not to put it out at that time because I didn't want to be the guy to break that, because as this other outlet found out, when you do that, you take heat, and they even had to put out a statement. Listen, we, because of being a media source, we have access to certain people and certain things that the general public does not.
Absolutely.
And so he released that, and he caught flack big time, and he put out a statement stating that. I chose to wait a little bit longer than he did because I didn't want that flack. And even when I did post it, I did catch some flack. I don't even know what it was, some writing company, like national writing company. I looked it up. Cuba Gooding Jr. works for him, and a bunch of other big names. reached out to me and says, "Give me your source." I didn't even reply. Like,
Wow.
I'm not going to, you know, out
No.
my sources, you know.
That's a simple answer.
Yeah, he was like, "Give me your source," and I'm like, I didn't even reply. I just ignored it. But
Wow.
you know, sad all around. Obviously, sheriff's office. If you follow them at all on social media, you would have seen in the past month or so they put into service their new mobile command unit, which is a big Peterbilt bus with technology, cameras, radios, you know, the whole nine of the gamut of what it'll do, wireless internet. And they brought that out there and set that up because of the rainy conditions and the cooler conditions. You know, command has to have somewhere to stay warm and, you know, do what command needs to do with notifications and stuff of that sort. But so they brought that out there, and so that was the very first time that was deployed.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I talked to the sheriff a little bit, and he identified a few things that, you know, that they need to fix or work on, you know, because it's, you know, it's a learning experience
Sure.
every time that you put something out like that out there for the first time, you know.
Sure.
So it was
And that was a big, that was a big
Yeah, it was-
trial,
that was
you know, trial
was-
run.
probably one of the bigger incidences here in Iredell County since I've lived here. I've been here since 14.
And you know, the sad part, and I'm changing the subject a minute, we can bounce back, but an entire family, like I
Yeah.
cannot imagine what the, you know, family surviving. I don't know how they're gonna, I cannot. It's hard enough to get through one person.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, my dad
Yeah.
died in a tragic accident, not airplane, but in a big truck, and that was difficult enough. And I mean, it's been almost 20 years. We still struggle.
Yep.
I can't imagine. Excuse me. I can't imagine what that family, what lies ahead, what
Yeah,
they're
and
going through
imagine,
today.
you know, Greg was remarried to, I think her name was Christine, is that correct?
I think that's right.
But the daughter that was, you know,
Mhm.
perished, you know, her mother wasn't on the plane.
She's,
So
yep.
she's got to be just devastated. And
That's what I was telling my boyfriend yesterday. So we were watching the coverage together, and I didn't realize the family dynamic, but it's sort of like what we were dealing with last week, a court case, which we obviously will get into. But you know, you've got a blended family that has blended beautifully, obviously, but one of the folks people who died that night, even though her stepmom was there, and also, you know, we'll get into that, but her biological mom, you know, she was not there, and so whenever you have blended families, which we see more and more.
oh, of course, yeah.
And so, yeah, I didn't realize that until yesterday. It might have been on the Firewire that I read that, and that was the first thought that I had, you know, with Savannah, and just thinking like that's
Yeah,
what
yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
So yeah, she's grieving.
Oh, yeah, there's no doubt about that. And, you know, you got to think of the first responders, too. I mean,
Oh, I cannot
I
imagine.
mean, I released the audio today. I really didn't want to. Had a lot of requests for it, so I did release it today. And you know, it's hard audio to listen to. I mean, as soon as the fire was out, they identified, I believe, 5, not identified, but you know, there were 5 deceased immediately found, and then 2 others, you know, later on. But we'll be right back on WSIC with myself and Jamie.
Investigative, uncompromising, unafraid. We'll be right back with The Scoop, hosted by Jaime Gatton, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Don't be caught off guard by the wind, even though we're clearing out. It's windy for our Friday. Wind gust around 30 to 40 miles per hour as we move through the day, even though we'll see more sunshine peeking out. Temperatures back in the mid-50s, and then as we head into the upcoming weekend, it'll be dry. There'll be plenty of sunshine around, and pretty mild for this time of the year. Around the lake, temperatures working their way back up to 60. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Hi, This is Bob McIntosh with the McIntosh Law Firm in Davidson. Since 1997, we have been committed to providing our clients with competent, caring, and experienced legal services. Learn more at McIntoshLawFirm.com.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Bin 110 in Cornelius presents 4 nights of live music and entertainment. Wednesday, December 17th, come on out for karaoke. Thursday, the 18th, features a performance by Ryan Winters. On Friday, Vinyl Live takes the stage, while Save July presents a concert on Saturday. Click on bin110.com to see their live music lineup, their specialty cocktails and whiskeys, and the food menu. Friday night is the Mistletoe Sip and Shop in downtown Mooresville. Starting at 6 p.m., businesses will have open houses. There will be a strolling barbershop quartet, festive decor, loads of seasonal specials, plus good eats and drinks. Visit downtownmooresville.com for more information. It's happening downtown. Saturday is the Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. The boats will start at Blythe Landing, then head to Ramsey Creek, the Peninsula Yacht Club, and end at the Duke Energy Explorium. The parade is collecting toys for Little Smiles, which gives toys to kids in area hospitals. For more information, head to the Facebook event page, 7th Annual Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. On Saturday, Fortune 5 is performing at the Cedar Stump Pub in Statesville. This 2024 Battle of the Bands winner brings their high-energy show to the Stump. Showtime is 9 p.m. at the pub on East Broad Street. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now and runs through January 4th. The drive-through holiday light show features more than 5 million lights circling the iconic oval, pit road, and infield road course. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets and information on Speedway Christmas. Stay up to date and find out about local events, job opportunities, real estate information, and more. Visit liveworkplaylkn.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
A good soul isn't hard to find, especially if you're listening to WSIC on Tuesdays at 4.
Hello, and welcome to The Good Soul.
The Good Soul, hosted by Patty Alvarez, features real-world conversations that leave you feeling happy and rejuvenated.
Hard questions, real answers. The Scoop continues with Jaime Gatton. WSIC, local starts here.
Welcome back to The Scoop on WSIC. We left off our first segment talking about the biggest news that we've had in a long time around here. So,
Yeah.
But what we didn't touch on is we know Greg Biffle to be the NASCAR driver,
Yep,
but he became very well known for his relief efforts that he just sort of took on himself during Hurricane Helene. And of course, anybody that is listening, if they've been a listener for a while, knows that that is a cause that is near and dear to your heart as well with Operation Hilo. And so I immediately thought about that connection yesterday. And
Yeah, he was. No, I was not part of Operation Hilo at this time. Remember, I was doing the ham radio emergency net for just shy of 2 weeks during the hurricane in the beginning days there. But Greg was one of the first pilots to come up and work with Operation Hilo, and did a tremendous amount of humanitarian aid, and picking people out of the places that nobody could get to.
Oh my gosh, I remember one of the news agencies too reminded me of this. The news coverage of when somebody was on the ground and was using a mirror. Was it a mirror?
Yeah, he said he just saw it out of the corner of his eye, and
amazing.
He was able to turn around and was able to grab those people. But he just had I think it was a Robinson helicopter he had, just a small helicopter. It's nothing huge, but him and hundreds of other pilots came together with Operation Hilo and packed their planes full of supplies and brought them to multiple places over in the mountains. As a matter of fact, Buncombe County in the city of Asheville, they recognized Biffle for all his efforts during the hurricane. And then Yancey County Sheriff yesterday put out a message just about how sad they are to hear about this, because it wasn't for him and the other helicopter pilots, a lot of their people would be in worse conditions than they were already in. So, Operation Hilo has, I don't know, something like 200 pilots underneath them now, and over 100 showed up within 48 hours after the hurricane. So, pilots are a close-knit community, and, when the call goes out, they all just come flying in, and that's exactly what happened there. And, Greg was just one of them.
Yeah.
So, being a Mooresville guy, and, he did a whole lot of work here, so, and for the people of Western North Carolina.
Yeah. So yeah, a big loss for our community, and much larger.
Yep. That's for sure.
And our hearts go out to
not
their
only him, but
families.
the pilot, the last name Dutton. He was the pilot on the plane. His son was also a pilot in training. His son was going to Auburn University or Auburn Air School, whatever it's called. So he was training to be a pilot. So I mean, it's just sad all the way around. And then the motorhome driver, Wadsworth, I'm drawing a blank on the name, something like that. He was on board as well and perished. So just
a lot of people are grieving today.
Yeah, a lot of people that didn't even really know him. I knew Greg. I tried calling him multiple times yesterday. Once I found out the plane was registered to his company, look at my phone. I probably tried him over 50 times in the matter of a half an hour, and every single time it just went to voicemail. Just too bad. A real loss for not only Iredell County and Mooresville, but all the work he did elsewhere.
So we're gonna talk now about, and again, Dan and I last week spent every single day in the Statesville courthouse.
Yep.
And so we figured, we would be talking about that a great deal today, and we will get to it because it's very, very important and a serious matter too.
Yeah.
But
there's a lesson to be learned here, and we'll get it. I'll talk about it when you pass it over. Go ahead.
Well, what I want to get into first, because it happened and you were there this week, is the Mooresville Police Department press conference. So don't forget your thought though on the court thing.
I'll
Jot
write it
that
down. So
You know me, I will lose it. I'll lose it in a second. But Dan was at a press conference this week that Mooresville Police Chief Ron Camperchani called, and they had a press conference out in the community.
Mm-hmm.
It was in a neighborhood where there had been a recent gang-related shooting, right?
Yep.
So I'll pass it once again to Dan. This is a Dan week.
Yeah, it's a Dan week, that's for sure. But I wouldn't be here without you, Jamie.
Oh.
So Mooresville PD called a press conference at one of the areas of Mooresville that has a higher crime area. Mooresville has done a bang-up job in really showing the community there that they care and that they're trying to clean the area up of crime. But anyways, it was last Friday? I think it was last Friday. 17-year-old kid shot 19 rounds towards two other individuals, I believe it was.
Was it just one shooter?
As far as I know, it came out of 19 rounds out of this particular gun. But what the press conference was called for, not only is it sad that, somebody thought that they had the right to shoot 19 rounds into a residential community, because this kid was not 18 years old, it goes to juvenile justice. And juvenile justice makes the determination if they're going to do a securement, meaning go to jail, kid jail, which
custody or something.
Which around here is in Alexander County. In juvenile justice said no, it did not meet their qualifications. So
the criteria.
One round towards a residential community and towards people that are running away from you, that's in Dan's mind attempted murder. The bullet did not strike somebody, so that's why it's not murder. But
And thank God.
If juvenile justice isn't going to take an attempted murder charge and secure a juvenile, then are they, I guess their position, and I'll say it straight out loud so everybody can hear it, they don't care what crime you commit until you actually murder that person. Because if they murdered that person, then they would be taken into custody. There's criteria for juvenile justice. And apparently attempted murder is not good enough. You know, the murder is, but not attempted. Same thing goes for rape. You hear a lot of juvenile rape these days. If the woman got away and there was no physical, without me having to say it over the radio, if you know what I'm trying to say, that is attempted rape. That is probably not good enough for juvenile justice because the act wasn't 100% committed.
Why is it so, are they overburdened and that's the reason that they've got to tighten these criteria?
Well, back in 2019, the state made a change. And that's back then, prior to 2019, 16 and 17-year-olds in this state were treated as adults. Well, they rolled that back. 16 and 17-year-olds now are looked at as children. And so they're treated as children, even though they're committing adult crime. So they're committing adult crime that I or you would be sitting having a bologna sandwich for dinner tonight in the Iredell County Detention Center. But because he's 17, he doesn't qualify for that. His qualification now goes, here, Mom, this is your kid. You take care of him. We're releasing him right back to where he just committed the shooting.
And they did, right?
And they did.
Right it back into the neighborhood.
He was back at his home that night where he just unloaded 19 rounds into a residential community.
And the chief was talking, and you could tell the sheer frustration in his voice. And we did try to get the chief. We went back and forth with him and Commissioner Will Avon, whose district that is, or whose ward that is. And we just, obviously the week went sideways. So, but you could tell the chief was frustrated. He was practically begging the press to apply pressure, you know, to the state agency to, because, and then it was the most kind of jaw-dropping moment of the press conference. And I forget exactly what it was. I know that it was a list of names, juveniles.
It was a stack of paper 2 inches thick, and every single one of those were juveniles that have a violent crime that was committed, and not a single one of those people in that stack, there was a securement from juvenile justice.
That's what I thought that he said, and he just kept ripping the papers up.
Channel whatever it was, you know, they cut, you know, so it only looked like there was 5 pages.
No
but
way.
If you go on the Firewire and watch the video that I uploaded, I did the entire press. He just kept going, and it was ridiculous. You know, I can tell you from when I was at the sheriff's office, we did a I did a checkpoint one night, and I could smell marijuana coming from the car, so I pulled everybody out with a few of the other people I was working with. And a 17-year-old was in possession of a huge bag of marijuana and a loaded Glock 17 handgun. And about 3 weeks later, I got a paper in my mailbox at the sheriff's office and said, they are going to accept the case. But I couldn't arrest him that night. He had a loaded Glock 17 illegally, along with, if I remember correctly, it was just under felony amount of marijuana. It was just under, but I couldn't take him into custody for that. So we'll be back, WSIC Radio.
Investigative, uncompromising, unafraid. We'll be right back with The Scoop, hosted by Jaime Gatton, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Don't be caught off guard by the wind, even though we're clearing out. It's windy for our Friday. Wind gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour as we move through the day, even though we'll see more sunshine peeking out. Temperatures back in the mid-50s, and then as we head into the upcoming weekend, it'll be dry, there'll be plenty of sunshine around, and pretty mild for this time of the year around the lake. Temperatures working their way back up to 60. That's your forecast. From the WSIC Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Give the gift of wow. Shop at Harrison's. They'll be all smiles in new Carhartt. Ariat has layers they'll love, and there's nothing merrier than a pair of Tacovas. Find gifts for everyone at the home of Work Western and wow in Mooresville or at harrisonsusa.com.
Jay White here from Central Line of Realty. At Central Line of Realty, we believe it's all about you. If you're selling a home, buying a home, or adding doors to your rental portfolio, put the team at Central Line of Realty to work for you. Go to centrallineofrealty.com and let's get started.
Hello, yes, I'm Andrea, the owner of Spotless Cleaning. And yes, I'm excited for Christmas. Time with family is my favorite part. When everyone arrives, what must be done is finally finished. Growing up in Brazil, my grandparents taught me everything must be perfect. There are things you want to do yourself, like shopping, wrapping, maybe cooking. Leave the cleaning shop trained technicians. I know they are bigger than elves, but work just as hard. Spotless Cleaning and C.com.
Hey folks, you know Randy Marion is the king of price when it comes to buying a new vehicle or a pre-owned vehicle, but how about king of price when it comes to the service department? Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville, Randy Marion Ford Lincoln in Statesville has you covered on tires, brakes, batteries, wipers, you name it. Any service you need on your vehicle, regardless of the make or model, come see Randy Marion Chevrolet in Statesville Service Department or Randy Marion Ford Lincoln Service Department today.
Men over 45, do you have a frequent, urgent need to urinate or a weak flow? Do you suffer from an enlarged prostate or BPH? Want to learn about alternatives to BPH medication and major surgery? How? Talk to a doctor about the UroLift system. The UroLift system is the #1 chosen minimally invasive BPH procedure in the U.S. It uses a proven approach to treating enlarged prostate symptoms that lifts and holds the enlarged prostate tissue out of the way, so it no longer blocks the urethra. No heating, cutting, removal, or destruction of prostate tissue is required. Find rapid symptom relief while preserving sexual function. Call 1-800-858-7070. 1-800-858-7070. That's 1-800-858-7070. Most common side effects are temporary and can include discomfort while urinating, urgency, inability to control the urge, pelvic pain, and some blood in the urine. Rare side effects, including bleeding and infection, may lead to a serious outcome and may require intervention.
What color I see?
Sweetheart, would you turn it down? The neighbors can hear us. Sweetheart, the neighbors can hear this.
Ladies, if your husband's favorite TV setting is way too loud, it might be time for a hearing test. If this sounds familiar, it's time to call Beltone in Mooresville and Cornelius. Call 877-HEAR-123 today. That's 877-HEAR-123. Turn down the TV and turn up the conversation. Call 877-HEAR-123 now.
Every day you listen to the news, but how is that news affecting your financial world? Things like your retirement and your kids' college fund? You need someone who can help you work towards your goals, someone to help you move forward in these times of change. Call Eileen Stoner at Morgan Stanley. Eileen has 28 years of experience as a financial advisor, and she's right here in Cornelius, North Carolina. To make an appointment with Eileen Stoner, call 704-896-9138. Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, LLC. Member SIPC.
The button pushing stops here.
WSIC. Local starts here.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. U.S. consumer sentiment rising in December by less than expected. The University of Michigan final December sentiment index climbing 1.9 points to 52.9, with sentiment remaining nearly 30% below December of 2024. The U.S. operations of TikTok are being spun off into a joint venture, and Oracle is leading the group of buyers. The parent of the video sharing app, Chinese owner ByteDance, signing binding agreements to create that U.S. joint venture. Chinese regulators, though, have yet to approve that deal. All right, let's head to Wall Street, where the Nasdaq is up nearly 1/8%, the S&P up nearly 0.6%, and the Dow is up nearly 0.6% as well. And chaos in the crypto world. Crypto hedge funds having a difficult year. Directional funds designed to profit from large price swings in Bitcoin and other major coins down 2.5%, on pace for their worst year since the industry's 2022 winter. Megan Dice, Bloomberg Radio.
Don't miss a thing. Download the WSIC News app today. WSIC. Local starts here. Hard questions, real answers. The Scoop continues with Jaime Gatton. WSIC. Local starts here.
welcome back to the Scoop on WSIC. It's been a heavy news week, a couple weeks, because as much as we've already kind of talked about the stuff this week, let's jump back.
Yep.
We could not be on the air last Friday because Dan and I were watching a would you call it high profile? I mean, it's for the
Iredell County, it was high profile, yeah.
Court case, and it was most people are gonna remember the golf cart carrying a family back in 2022, right?
Mm-hmm. June 13th.
Yeah, and here's the thing: because this has been like a crazy week. Now it's almost like it's
almost old news.
Well, I don't know.
You don't want to say that, but it's kind of on the back now because of what just happened yesterday.
And my problem is my brain is fuzzy because of everything that's happened now, like my recollection. And so it'll be good that you and I are both here because we both sat through it. Dan had started going the Thursday before, and I did not go, and I didn't realize you were going. And so whenever you texted, I was like, "You're going?" And then I was like, "I want to go." And Dan said, "Why don't you come Monday?" And then I was hooked. I went in on that Monday, and we were there every morning. Court started at 9:30.
Yep.
And for the most part, we were there until 5:30 every day. And so, let's talk. Get us caught up to speed on what happened that night, Dan. Because again, this was something that is Firewire.
Yep. So that particular evening, it was a golf cart versus car accident. 6 people were on the golf cart. We'll call it out right now. The golf cart was not supposed to be there.
And the lawyer, the prosecutor admitted that, right?
Yes. The prosecutor even said that in his closing remarks, that the golf cart wasn't supposed to be there, and the golf cart was not legal. So, there's another part of that, though. Harmon wasn't supposed to be there because he was drunk. So there were 2 wrongs. Well, you can't punish the driver of the golf cart because, unfortunately, he passed away. And so there is only one person you can now put the blame on, and that's the driver of the other vehicle, who they were able to determine was over the legal limit and blew a .12. And they did a blood test that confirmed he was a .12, and the blood test also confirmed he had opiates in his system. Although it came out in the closing arguments, I don't think it was ever said during the trial itself that Harmon was allowed to be on those opiates due to a leg injury, and that prescription ran out the day before the crash, but the opiates were still in his system. Did it have any effect on his driving ability? That's not for me or you to say, but it was in his system, and so they brought it up in court. But the determining factor that he was guilty as charged was he was drunk, and the state troopers and Trooper Reed were able to reconstruct the scene with
that was the crux.
With technology that Harmon crossed that center line and off center hit that golf cart, killing 3 and critically wounding 3 others. So there's a lesson to be learned here, and the lesson is if you're going to be on a golf cart, you better do it safely, better do it legally, and if you're going to have a few beers while you're out fishing, have it be 5, 6, 7 beers, whatever the kid had, have a driver. Because even though you might feel fine, which it sounds like Harmon did, he seemed like he felt fine. He didn't seem as if...
An eyewitness account.
Multiple eyewitnesses, not just 1 or 2. Every first responder, the first person on scene, the homeowner that came out from the bathroom. I mean, everybody said the same thing, that Harmon seemed to be fine. That doesn't mean that his reaction time was fine. What gets diminished on alcohol? Your reaction time. So just because you feel fine after you've had a few beers, and this is what I tried to instill in both my boys. I have an 18-year-old and a 13-year-old. Listen, guys, You're going to get older. You're going to drink. It's a rite of passage for just about everybody. But just because you've had a few and you feel fine, your blood might put you over the legal limit. And if something like this happens, so tragic, you're going to prison. Don't take the chance. Call an Uber. You and I didn't have this option growing up of an Uber.
We had taxis.
Yeah, and these kids have that option today. You know, just do yourself a favor. You know, I kind of feel bad for Harmon. I'm not going to lie. You know, did the kid mean to kill anybody? No,
not.
Absolutely not. Did the kid have too much? Apparently his blood said yes. Did he probably feel fine to drive? He probably did. But the fact is that blood doesn't lie.
And neither did the science.
Neither did the science.
Yeah.
You know?
And I will say the defense attorney, Ken Daugherty, did a great job of planting seeds of doubt, right? I forget what day that was.
Last Thursday.
That's what I thought it was. Because here's the deal, y'all. The weirdest thing, the medical examiner, that's who took the stand, right? And they asked him what was Marlowe's, the driver of the golf cart, what was his blood alcohol level? Because, you know, there was testimony that he had had a beer, a 32-ounce beer at Mi Pueblo, and did not finish it. The bartender said that that's all he had to drink that night, but nobody knows because no blood was drawn from him. And that was the question, why? And it was so wild because if I remember exactly correctly, the medical examiner said the body had already been embalmed by the time he got there.
That is correct.
And so whether, you know, you believe that he had too much or you don't, because then Ken Daugherty also planted some seeds of doubt on Amy, who lost her leg.
And her kids.
Yes, but her timeline. Yes, and her her kids too.
And her fiance.
Correct. There were questions because of some Snapchat timestamps on whether her recollection of how much time they spent at Mi Pueblo was accurate.
That means nothing to me, and I'll tell you why. Because Ken Daugherty, while he did an admirable job of representing this kid, he tried at one point during the trial, and I think it was the first trooper, the arresting trooper, Fry. I couldn't remember his name. Trooper Fry. He was trying to get Trooper Fry to admit, well, don't you think after being hit with an airbag, you know, and just going through this traumatic incident, that, you know, Harmon's mental state, he may have forgot a few things or, you know, but then he hammered Amy Mills. Well, his daughter did, because his daughter is the one that cross-examined Amy about her memory. The girl was just ejected off a golf cart. Her leg was ripped off. And you're not giving any sympathy to this poor woman, but you're going to give sympathy to the guy that had an airbag hit him that people walk away from every single day of the year, thousands of times a day throughout the world? Give me a break. That's when I said, this is BS.
I did notice that too, because it was just like a, you know, even the, well, let's get back to it. Let's get back to it because we got a break, and we'll pick up where we left off. We shall return.
Investigative, uncompromising, unafraid. We'll be right back with The Scoop, hosted by Jaime Gatton, only on WSIC. Local starts here.
Don't be caught off guard by the wind, even though we're clearing out. It's windy for our Friday. Wind gusts around 30 to 40 miles per hour as we move through the day, even though we'll see more sunshine peeking out. Temperatures back in the mid-50s, and then as we head into the upcoming weekend, it'll be dry. There'll be plenty of sunshine around, and pretty mild for this time of the year. Around the lake, temperatures working their way back up to 60. That's your forecast from the WSIC Weather Center. I'm meteorologist Chase Myers.
Here is your WSIC community calendar. Bin 110 in Cornelius presents 4 nights of live music and entertainment. Wednesday, December 17th, come on out for karaoke. Thursday, the 18th, features a performance by Ryan Winters. On Friday, Vinyl Live takes the stage, while Save July presents a concert on Saturday. Click on bin110.com to see their live music lineup, their specialty cocktails and whiskeys, and the food menu. Friday night is the Mistletoe Sip and Shop in downtown Mooresville. Starting at 6 p.m., businesses will have open houses. There will be a strolling barbershop quartet, festive decor, loads of seasonal specials, plus good eats and drinks. Visit downtownmooresville.com for more information. It's happening downtown. Saturday is the Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. The boats will start at Blythe Landing, then head to Ramsey Creek, the Peninsula Yacht Club, and end at the Duke Energy Explorium. The parade is collecting toys for Little Smiles, which gives toys to kids in area hospitals. For more information, head to the Facebook event page, 7th Annual Lake Norman Lighted Christmas Boat Parade. On Saturday, Fortune 5 is performing at the Cedar Stump Pub in Statesville. This 2024 Battle of the Bands winner brings their high-energy show to the Stump. Showtime is 9 p.m. at the pub on East Broad Street. Speedway Christmas at Charlotte Motor Speedway is happening now and runs through January 4th. The drive-through holiday light show features more than 5 million lights circling the iconic oval, pit road, and infield road course. Visit charlottemotorspeedway.com for tickets and information on Speedway Christmas. Stay up to date and find out about local events, job opportunities, real estate information, and more. Visit liveworkplaylkn.com and sign up for the weekly newsletter. That's liveworkplaylkn.com.
Feeling stressed? Can't focus? It's not just in your head, it's in your brain. Dr. Tim Royer shows you how to reset and refocus on Your Brain Matters. Thursdays at 4 on WSIC. Listen live, on air, online, or on the WSIC News app.
Got a Toyota? Get it serviced at Quality Car Care of Statesville. Looking for a great pre-owned vehicle? Quality Car Care has you covered at 2040 Old Mountain Road. Visit qualitycarcarestatesville.com.
Hard questions, real answers. The Scoop continues with Jaime Gatton. WSIC, local starts here.
Welcome back to our fourth and final segment today. The day has gotten away from us whenever that happens when we have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
So we left off with Dan expressing his frustration that the defense had shown no sympathy to Amy, but sympathy to Austin Ray Harmon because, airbags versus her. Okay. The
Being
same thing.
ejected off a golf cart and her
Right.
memory's supposed to be just fine.
The same thing happened with their eyewitness that they brought in, and the defenses, and it was like I forget his name, but they expressed sympathy towards him that he had to witness what he had to witness that night, but when Amy was on the stand earlier, there was no mercy shown. No. I mean, there was no I'm sorry for what you've been through.
They looked at her as like she was a criminal.
It really was. It became glaringly obvious almost that there was, like I said, no mercy. So
I understand a defense attorney has to do his job, and I think
absolutely.
And again, I'm not going to say that Ken or his daughter or whatever other 18 lawyers appeared to be in there, because there were lawyers all over the place for over on the Darty side. I can tell you that. And then family upon family kept showing up for Ken Darty's family, like his personal family kept showing up. It was a weird dynamic. I don't know why. I don't. Hey, what do I know?
So
maybe that's regular for maybe that's regular for him.
I don't know. I don't spend that much time in a court case. I was just captivated with this one. But what we did find out in this is that Savannah, Jada's mom, who was not in the wreck, her and Tegan, who was
Tegan's mom, you're talking?
Tegan's mom.
Yeah.
And that they both said they first found out about the wreck through the Firewire.
Yeah, Savannah approached me and told me, if it wasn't for you, I would have never known about the wreck. And then
Wasn't she able to be there with Jada? Or
no,
at least
no. She was able to be at the scene.
Be at the scene. That's what I meant.
But
That's
the
what I
kids were already gone by the time she got there. And same with Tegan's mom. Tegan's mom told me that I think it was, and I'm sorry if you're listening, I don't want to butcher the story, but I believe it was a younger sibling saw it on Firewire. Hey, there's a golf cart accident on Fort Dobbs Road, and she kind of blew it off, didn't think much of it, and she said, no, it's really happening. Look, Mom, look, and that's how she found out to get down there as well. So it was pretty cool to hear the family side and love the Firewire or hate the Firewire.
There are plenty of people who hate it.
Oh,
so let's
get already being one of them.
Let's go there. We'll Dan and I went live 2-3 times last week after court because people, again, this county is very captivated by this story, obviously for good reason, and he played a video that was sent to him. One day I'll just cap this quickly. One day in the courtroom, Dan and I walked back in. You kind of turned around and went in to talk to somebody at the door and stepped outside of the room. I was still in the courtroom. All of a sudden, I see Ken Daugherty making a beeline out the door, and it kind of went into my head. I'm like, is this going to go where, but I thought, no, this place said there's decorum, and we're in a courthouse, we're adults. Well, all of a sudden, his family starts running out. Like, his daughter screamed her brother's name. They start running out. All these bailiffs start running out. And sure enough, Daugherty had confronted Firewire Dan.
Yep.
Somebody got a video of it. Dan ran it. And in that video, Ken Daugherty says, everybody who follows you is an idiot.
Is an idiot, yes.
And Dan said something like, well, how about the family? They follow me. And he goes, yeah, everybody
I can't remember the exact wording. I have to go listen to it again. But unequivocally, anybody who follows you is an idiot. And that was after I posed the question, is the family an idiot? Because they follow me, and some of them
it was
are
right
even
after that.
subscribers.
Right.
And that's when he said, unequivocally or whatever, undoubtedly, whatever word he used, he tries to use big words. Yes, they're all idiots too. And I was just like, wow.
So now we're talking about getting shirts. The Firewire idiot.
Firewire idiot or something, yeah.
I'm with the Firewire idiot or something.
I told the story on our live. My awesome mail lady, she even stopped my wife and said, just let Dan know I'm one of his idiots.
I'm one of his idiots. And then Dan looks at me all serious whenever this happens, and he goes, I don't know if I should use that. And I was like, you might as well embrace it. People were, on his followers were all embracing it and having a big time with it. So that's sort of turning something negative into, something that made people laugh. It was a light moment.
Yeah, it was. And, I don't know. There's decisions I got to make here, and we'll get into that another day. But something that was really touching to me, and now that the case is over, I'll talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it when the case was going on. I think it was my second day there.
It was, because it was my first day.
Okay. I was walking upstairs into the courtroom, and the doors weren't open yet, so we were just standing, waiting to get into the courtroom. And Savannah, Jada's mom, came up to me. Now, I didn't know who she was. Everybody kind of knows Amy's face, so I knew Amy was right there, but I introduced myself to Amy. She was looking at me. I looked at her. I went up and shook her hand, and, Savannah came up and introduced herself, and I stepped back. I, to be honest, just felt a little weird, I don't know these people. And,
it's an awkward feeling.
It's a little awkward. I'm not socially that great to begin with. So I just stepped back, and then Savannah came up to me, and she's just a sweetheart. She really is. And she goes,
she's a pistol.
Yeah. She kind of whispered in my ear. She goes, this is going to sound kind of corny, but one of Jada's favorite rocks was coral from the ocean. And so last time I was at the beach, I picked up a bunch of coral. And she opened up her purse and opened up a plastic bag and reached in and pulled out a piece of coral, and she goes, "I want you to have this for Jada." And, you know, it was kind of a tearful moment. I gave Savannah a hug, and, you know, every time she passed by me, you know, during the trial, she'd give me a fist bump, or, you know, I'd pull out the piece of coral and just, you know, cup it in my hand, letting her know that I had it. And, you know, it was pretty cool. And
they were told not to speak to us,
Yeah.
which I understand. I'm sure that came from the DA's office, and I get it. I get it. But it made things a little more awkward because we couldn't, you know, we didn't want to put them in a bad position.
Yep.
And
So I got that piece of coral now up in my office, and
you'll keep that forever.
Yeah, it's one of those mementos that you'll always keep.
I think, if I'm not mistaken, that's when she told you that had it not been for you,
Yes. Yeah.
she wouldn't have been able to get to the scene.
Yeah, that's correct. So, you know, love the Firewire or hate it. You know, there's things that we do that upset people, but there's things that we do that you find out years later, like this, that was really good and helped the family, you know, get down to the scene for their loved ones who were in this, you know, horrible crash. And for those that didn't hear, Austin Harmon was sentenced. He was found guilty. He was sentenced to 20 years minimum with a maximum of 29 and a half. So everybody kept saying on the Firewire after I announced that, oh, he'll be out in 5 to 10 years. No, it doesn't work that way. So he has a minimum of 20 years he has to serve. That's the minimum. So I think he's 26 now, 27. So at 46, 47 years old, he'll be eligible for parole. And if he's good, it may be granted. That's up to the parole board. If they don't want to grant it to him at 20 years, they can hold him up to 29 and a half years. And now it's funny, where I come from, Western New York, state of New York, if you get sentenced to a life sentence in New York, it used to be this way. I can't verify it still is. I haven't lived there in 12 years. If you got sentenced to a life sentence, you got sentenced to 25 years. After 25 years, you were able to get out.
Oh, wow.
So, if he does 25, and you know, that's considered a life sentence where I come from. So it's I didn't think it would ever be that high. I'll be honest with you. I thought maybe he could 10 to 15.
And it was down to the wire too. Dan and I were like, how is this going to go? And I mean, even the family, I think, came out and said this could literally go either way. There was enough doubt planted that, you know, and hey, you could not prove whether Marlo had anything to drink. And so there was a lot, you know, that Darty did.
I find that as a non-issue anyways, because even if he had something to drink, yeah, 2 wrongs don't make a right. And if Marlo...
But he didn't cross the center line.
Right. But if Marlo had survived and he was over the legal limit, say he was, he would have been charged. So to me, the alcohol of Marlo doesn't really matter, because if he did survive, he would have been arrested too. Even though he was injured, he would have been injured, he would have been arrested.
Let's talk about his injury. We're not going to have time to talk too much.
They just told us in our ear 1 minute.
613 feet that car traveled after the point of impact with him
that's more
in the
than
back
2
window,
football
basically.
fields. More than 2 football fields before Harmon decided, oh, I better stop. And maybe he stopped because he looked back and he saw Marlo hanging out the back window.
He was there. He wasn't going anywhere.
Yeah, he was impaled into the car, you know?
Practically, yeah.
So, guys, we appreciate you listening to us on WSIC today. Follow us on all the apps. I don't know what they all are. X, Facebook, LinkedIn, they tell me, YouTube, 1400 AM, 100.5 and 105.7 FM.
That's a lot to remember.
Lots to remember. But, guys, thanks for sticking with us.
Y'all have a
busy
great
week.
weekend.
Pray for all the families affected in the tragedy this week. Talk to y'all later.